Cindy, the Little Centriole That Could, by Molly Kate Clayton and Michelle Doheny. Once upon a time, in an animal cell, a cell's worth of organelles were working together to keep their eukaryotic cell functioning. Inside this animal cell was a little centriole that had just been self-replicated by her mother, proteins from the ribosome. Her name was Cindy, and she was so excited to lead the life of a centriole, a small cylindrical organelle made up of microtubules.
As Cindy went about each day, news broke out that a cell division was arriving, and she couldn't wait to participate. While she was hanging out at the centrosome, a small region near the nucleus, she babbled to her fellow centriole. "Oh boy, this is going to be so much fun! Can you believe it? We actually get to help divide our cell! It's way better than spending our usual time of organizing the microtubules in the cytoplasm and the rest of the spatial arrangement of the cell. Ugh, I especially hate those cilia and flagella. It's like, fine, if you don't want to go over there, then don't. Ha, you know what I mean? They just don't listen to where you want to position them or form them. Like, hello! How are we supposed to form you guys?"
As Cindy paused to take a breath, the other centriole cuts in.
"Listen, I don't mean to burst your bubble here, but could you shut your yap? I don't know why you're getting all worked up over some stupid cell division. It's not like we actually hold any significance here, okay? This is all just a big joke. You and I were nothing but the smallest of the small and the low of the lowliest, the dead bottom. We're no nucleus. We don't get to be the control center. We don't say what goes and what stays. We sit here at the centrosome, trying to fool ourselves into thinking that maybe we might actually matter. But newsflash, we don't."
And with that, the centriole turned away and tried to ignore Cindy's quiet sniffling. As Cindy was cursing her luck at getting stuck with the grumpiest centriole in the history of animal cells, she couldn't help but hear a ring of truth at his skepticism. Could he possibly be right? Do all the other organelles take us for a bunch of clowns? Something so trivial that it's actually funny that we bother trying? She tried to convince herself that this wasn't true, but she couldn't help but feel defeated. Cindy looked over towards the other centrosome and saw the other centrioles had heard the outburst and were looking a little beaten as well. She tried to regain her positive attitude, when all of a sudden, things started to fall apart. Literally.
Cindy was in such a state of shock that it took all of her strength to hold herself together. The centrioles were rallying, breaking down into the proteins that they were once made up of. Cindy was trying to process the situation when it hit her. The centrioles were trying to kill themselves off. She frantically started yelling at everyone to stay together, desperately trying to reverse the effect of the rally. But alas, it was useless. Just as fast as they were here, the centrioles were gone, leaving Cindy alone in a broken centrosome. Lost and confused, Cindy wandered aimlessly around, trying to take in what had just occurred. What was going to happen now that she was the only centriole left? She can't take on the job by herself. It takes two to tango. Does it even matter if there are no centrioles in the animal cell? Probably not. We're still just as much of a joke as before, thought Cindy, as she looked out at the busy cell community, still functioning properly. But Cindy was wrong. The cell became total havoc, on the verge of collapsing. Without the centrioles, there was no organization within the cell at all. Everything was a mess. Even the nucleus was off. depending on its positioning from the centrioles. The cilia and flagella weren't functioning properly without the help of the centrioles. These problems could lead to several developmental and genetic diseases. The lack of centriole destructs the centrosome, which contributes to genome instability and tumor formation. Their absence can even lead to ciliopathies, a variety of complex diseases that stem from the absence or dysfunction of cilia. As this realization of anomalies hit Cindy, she realized that centrioles actually had a lot to contribute to keep the cell going. In fact, they were crucial to functioning the life of the cell, as were the rest of the organelles. Cindy raced over to the deteriorating nucleus and took charge. "Listen up!" shouted Cindy. "I need you to send out a message to the RNA to send out new proteins immediately. We got some new centrioles to make." As the centrioles started to reform and replicate in the centrosome, the animal cells started to get back on track. When all the new centrioles were intact, Cindy made an announcement. "You guys are vital to our cell here. Without us, everything will go disarray. All of us organelles are equal. There are no ranks. We are all important factors of not just our cell, but of all animal cells worldwide. The little things matter. Sometimes they got the most to give." The centrioles were going ballistic. Everyone got working right away, and the cell was working once again. When it came time for the cell division, who else got to lead the occasion but Cindy herself? As she joyfully did her part for the cell, the centrioles couldn't help but feel pride for their little centriole friend. Cindy had went beyond the expectations of her centriole title. She fulfilled the meaning of being a little organelle that could make a big difference. Cindy was most certainly the little centriole that could.